someplace the blood. It's in the blood. It's in the blood. It's too late in the day for you not to be under the blood. Tell somebody you got to get under the blood. Tell them it's in the blood. It's in the blood. So when we step over into Isaiah, around Isaiah 43, Isaiah looks in the telescope of time. He looks into the New Testament, and he looks behind him, and he writes these words, for God shall do a new thing. He forget the former thing, or the things of old. Forget about the turtle doves. Forget about the burning of the lamb. For God's going to do a new thing. What is God going to do? God's going to look in his destiny, and God's going to wrap himself up in flesh. He's going to find a virgin that's never been touched. Y'all don't want to say nothing. And the reason why he had to come through a virgin is because our high priest couldn't marry nothing but a virgin. He couldn't touch nobody else. He couldn't marry nobody else. Since he's going to be a high priest, since he's gonna be a high priest, since he's gonna have to come through, he's gotta come through something pure. He's the only one that can break the blood. Say yes. Say yes. He's the only one that can draw blood. If she was married, if she'd have had sex, if she would have had sex, that means the man would have been the first to draw blood. But because he separated her from Joseph and said, wait a minute, she shall be overshadowed by the highest. That means the Spirit of the living God will break the hammer. Y'all ain't saying nothing. He'll be the one that'll draw blood. He'll be the one that'll break the seal. Say yes. Say yes. Say yes. In the book would put it in his hand, and he broke the 7 seals. When he came through, he broke the seal. Say yes. The high priest is here. And who will he marry? He's got to marry a church without spot or wrinkle or any blemish. Say yes. Say yes. So here Jesus comes, walking on the earth like death walked on the earth. But this time, as he walks, he gives hope and everlasting hope. He talks of a kingdom that is to come. He talks about deliverance. He talks about healing. He talks about purification. He talks about sanctification. And he tells the church that whosoever believe in me, yet shall he die, yet shall he live. Look at somebody and say, under the blood. Tell him there's power. Tell him there's power under the blood. Tell him under the blood. I'm running beneath the vein of Emmanuel, because there's a blood, a fountain of blood that cleanses my soul and cleanses my mind. Say yes, somebody. Jesus, here he goes, gets to the end of his time. 3 is divine. He gets into the 3rd year of his ministry, and it comes to a close upon the earth. But it can't come to a close unless there's death. And he understood himself that he had to die. Are you listening to me? The Garden of Gethsemane was 3 miles from where he would be hung up. So while he was standing there in the garden looking over, 3 miles away is where he's going to be hung up. And Jesus tells the disciples and tells those that are around, he says, as Moses lifted up the serpent, so shall I be lifted up from the earth. Y'all ain't saying nothing. But as he went, the Bible declared that they sent him to Pilate. And Pilate looks at him, and Pilate can't see nothing that is wrong with him. So he sends him to Herod. When he gets to Herod, Herod tells him to work a miracle. But Jesus don't work no miracles because he knows his time is almost up. If you notice in the beginning of his ministry, he worked a miracle. But at the end of the miracle, at the end of his ministry, there is no miracle because only time miracle will come now is got to come through death. Y'all ain't saying nothing. So in the beginning, he turned water into wine. But at the end, I can't work nothing for you. Y'all ain't saying nothing. Because he couldn't work it for him, he sends him back to Pilate. And when he gets to Pilate, Pilate asks the church, what do you want? And the church said, give us Barabbas. Y'all ain't saying nothing. It was the church that doomed his death. It was the church that put him to end. Tell somebody, it was a church. It was a church. The very thing that he's coming back for, it was them that put him to death. And while they was looking at him, they set the enemy free, but kept Jesus in prison. And they began to beat him. History says that they beat him so bad, Brother Jesse, that his mother couldn't recognize him. They tell me that they took the whip and the cattails and tore his skin. They tell me, according to history, Sister Hidden, that when they whipped him, it ripped his skin and ripped his tissues, ripped his muscles back from his body till you can look at Jesus and see his bones in his body. They ripped him so that they ripped his face apart. They ripped his back apart. They ripped his legs apart, and blood was running out. But that wasn't the blood that would wash us clean. Tell somebody that wasn't the blood. That wasn't the blood. They made him take his cross and bear his cross in the heat of the day, losing blood, losing life, with losing strength, but yet with strength. He brought the cross through. Can you see him carrying it? In every now and then, falling to his knees, but lifting back up. Tell somebody, that's why the Bible says, let the weak says that I'm strong. You can make it through in the heat of the day. He said, take up your cross daily and follow me. Says, who would want to live for a man? Who wouldn't live for a man that would give his life like this, that would be torn apart? Oh, blessed name of the Lord. They put him on the cross, and they tell me that when they put the spike in your hand, they tell me there's a cry, said there's a cry that you could hear all through Jerusalem. When they put the spike in your feet, there's a scream like no other scream that you could ever hear. And then when they lift the rugged cross up, they just didn't lift it up, but they jarred it down. It ripped his body. Oh my God. Look at the pain that's on the cross. Look at the pain that he endured just for you. And your little pain is because your child has been weary. Your pain is because you're in a financial difficulty. Your pain is because you don't have enough friends. But he bared your pain upon the cross. Say yes. Say yes. Say yes. He was bruised for our iniquity. The chastisement of our peace is upon his shoulders. Talk to me, somebody. Talk to me, somebody. And when they put him there, it wasn't good enough, but somebody reached to break his bones, because that was the next thing that the Romans would do, would break your bones, break your legs, break your ribs, break your arms. But when they drew back to break him, prophecy stepped into motion, and said, not a bone shall be broken. And he had to drop it. Say yes. That's why if you got prophecy covering you, prophecy will step in between you and say, but I said, you shall live and not die. Says, yeah.